What's up, BKV2 Nation? British Kid V2 here, and finally, this MMA Talk 101 episode, I can't even fucking remember. So, we're gonna predict some of these fights or whatever. Some of these fighters are on the game, and I didn't feel like creating them, so I just put any random person. So let's predict Roy Nelson versus Chet Congo. Now, not Roy Nelson versus Chet Congo. Roy Nelson versus Dave Herman. Both of these guys are coming off of losses. Roy Nelson just recently came off of a loss to, what's his name? Shit, who was it? Alright, well, yeah. Roy Nelson just recently came off of a loss to, let's see here. Yeah, Weird Doom, because I remember I seen that fight. Weird Doom was killing Nelson. Nelson didn't have a chance that fight, and it showed it. You know, he didn't really do anything that fight. And we go back here. Dave Herman recently lost a decision, if I believe, was it Stephen Struve? Yeah, no, not a decision. Recently just lost by TKO to Stephen Struve. And I seen that fight too. So both of these guys are coming off of losses. Who am I gonna give this to? Well, it matters. You know, everyone wants to see Roy Nelson make a jump down at light heavy because he gets oversized by his opponents at heavy. Or they just want to see him get more in shape, you know. The whole big belly thing, gimmick with him, they say it's old and tiring, it's not funny no more. They want to see him make a jump down at light heavy. Dave Herman, you know, he's one of my favorite fighters. When he fought John Olaf or whatever, I think it was Fight of the Night, you know, he did beastly and he got the knockout or whatever. And I put all my money on him in the Struve fight, and Struve was really beating him. Like, Herman couldn't really do anything. Struve isn't really one of those aggressive fighters because he has a long wingspan and he's got good submissions and things like that. So it depends on how these guys are going to fight. I don't see Herman finishing off Nelson because Nelson went through a 3-round war with Junior Dos Santos. So I don't see Herman, finish him off unless he hits a Falcon Punch or something with the hand of God or some shit like that. I don't see Dave Herman finishing Nelson. I see this going to a decision. I never really liked Nelson that much. You know, I never really thought of Roy Nelson as a dominating guy. I think people really just like Nelson because he beat Kimbo in Tough 10, and he was known as like the weakest link because he was fighting stuff, and people thought he couldn't do shit, and then he proved them wrong. You know, people, I guess, like Roy Nelson for that. I never really seen the whole hype behind him. You know, when I was watching his fights, he was known as that guy. You know, he's gonna put on the fucking show, but he's not gonna win the match. He takes a lot of punishment. So what am I gonna call this fight? I'm gonna go for it to be Dave Herman by decision. Gonna say Dave Herman by decision because Dave Herman, despite that loss to Stephen Struve, you gotta understand he's still got good work with his hands. You know, he's still got good stand up. He's got good hip movement. While Roy Nelson, on the other hand, does have good stand up and a few powerful punches. I just see him in the predicament that he's always in when he's fighting. You know, he's just getting hit in the belly, but he's trying to defend for his life. Yeah, and just all of that. I see him in that predicament all the time, no matter which fighter it is. So I'm gonna go with Dave Herman by a decision. If it is not a decision, if Dave Herman doesn't win it, I expect the fight to be close. It's gonna go the distance. So since the fight just began with that, I guess I can give one of my predictions for the prelims. Now I'm gonna go with the Dan Hardy versus the Wayne Bang Ludwig fight. This fight is gonna be fireworks. You know, you're missing out if you're not gonna watch the FX prelims because these are some pretty good fights if you're an MMA fan. Dan Hardy versus Dwayne Ludwig. I'm gonna, even though I love Dan Hardy to the death, gonna have to go with Dwayne Ludwig. Why? Because Dwayne Ludwig and Dan Hardy, basically fight the same. They want to put on the show. They don't want to go to the ground. They don't want to do no technical shit. They want to put on a show, get the fans their money's worth. So they're going to stand up and fight. When you compare two stand-up fighters, fighters who virtually fight the same with the stand-up, then you got to bring chin in as a factor. Their ability to take punches. Hardy got floored by Condit in like the first round, and we've seen him rocked in predicaments before. Hardy's not a punching bag at times. While Dwayne Ludwig kinda is, he can take punishment, walk through that shit like a zombie, and he can dish it out nice. So I'm seeing this as a KO win. This is not going the distance, which is obvious. So I'm gonna go with Dwayne Bang Ludwig with a KO, TKO, whatever. And I'm gonna go with Dan Hardy losing. So with that said, let's go to another prelim fight. Jason Miller vs CB Dollaway. Now, I'm a Mayhem monkey, I had my hair dyed like Mayhem, with the streak. I had a blue streak, a red one, a green one, a purple one. I had every fucking color except yellow, because yellow is just nasty. And I love Mayhem Miller, but I think he's gonna take this fight. CB Dollaway is recently coming off of a 2 losing streak to Jared, some guy named Jared, and Mark Munoz. I remember the Mark Munoz one, and they're both TKO KO. Miller's not known for being like a power puncher, so I don't see him finish him off that way, But Miller's got takedowns and stuff. We've seen how he showcased against Bisping in the first round of their fight. And I see Mayhem Miller coming out of this fight with a decision, because his stand-up is really not all that great. So with that said, motherfuckers, let's go on to the next fight on the main card, where I can't remember the order I did this, so let's just wait for this long loading screen. Alright, so Cain Velasquez, yeah, so with this Cain Velasquez fight, I'm going with it's Cain Velasquez versus Antonio Bigfoot Silva. I'm gonna have to go with Cain Velasquez for the KO TKO. Why, do you ask? Mainly because Junior Dos Santos deserves all the recognition for finishing Cain Velasquez in such a short time. But that's, the way that fight ended is, it doesn't really showcase a weakness for Cain Velasquez. It could have been a punch that just landed very nice, and, he got caught right there. He got a little careless. That doesn't really showcase a weakness. I think that loss for Cain was kind of like the Fedor loss to Weird Doom, where he just got a little careless. It ended too quick for you to see anything, for you to see a glaring weakness. And that's how a lot of fights are these days. That's why when I see a fight that doesn't last long, maybe like a, just like a KO like that, I take into consideration that you didn't really see a weakness from the fighter. You just seen him get caught badly in the first round. So you're not really seeing a weakness. You're not seeing him getting taken down repeated amount of times, and that'll show off how bad his takedown defense is. You're not seeing him getting hit repeatedly for rounds, showing how bad his stand-up defense is. You're not seeing that. You're seeing a punchline flush, he goes down, one loss. And that's the only loss in Cain Velasquez's career. Before that, he was champion, knocking out people left and right. The reason why I don't really see Bigfoot Silva really taking this is because you gotta take the Daniel Cormier fight into consideration. Now, a lot of people been hyping up what's his name, Bigfoot, because of his win over Fedor. Fedor, don't get me wrong right here, this may get backlash, like the WWE pay-per-view, haha. This may get backlash, the reactions towards Fedor now are mixed. You know, before he lost all those other fights, he was known as the greatest heavyweight of all time. So the reactions for Fedor are mixed. I'm part of the negative reaction a little bit. Now, I'm not gonna lie here. Fedor is a great fighter if you count pride and things like that. He dethroned a whole lot of pride dudes like Nogueira and stuff. You know, he beat Arlovsky. But what you have to take in consideration is how we beat these people. Now, I used to be a Fedor fan, but I never really watched the fights. I just went with the lingo. You know, people saying his legendary record, so I said, oh, yeah, you know, Fedor's the best. You know, who else has a record like that in the UFC that's in the heavyweight division? Then I watch an overview of his fights, and this is when he's losing his fights. I watch his older fights, and when I'm looking at it, some of these fights are not won by domination. You know, he fought Hungman Choi Hungman for you chinks out there, however you pronounce it. He fought Hungman Choi, and Hungman Choi was kind of kicking his ass. And Hungman Choi had bad submission defense and got submitted. So Fedor was getting his ass kicked right there. He was kind of getting outclassed by Britt Rogers, however you pronounce it, however you take that. You know, a lot of people were saying that. That end is Britt Rogers. Like, come on. Let's see. Who else can I... The Andrei Arlovsky fight. Andrei Arlovsky had him rock in the corner. And he gets careless, of course. Comes in with the knee and gets punched while he's about to deliver the knee, which looked like it would have been the last thing to end Fedor, that fight. And then Arlovsky loses. So these wins, some of these wins that I'm seeing from Fedor, him nearly getting his ass kicked and him coming back. That's not all of his wins, you know. These are just a few, but what I'm saying is I never really seen Fedor as the greatest. He's a great fighter for what he did in Pride, but he's nowhere near the greatest. Which is why this Antonio Silva thing, and you know, if you look at the way Fedor fights, he doesn't really throw his strikes in moderation. What I mean by that is not just patiently, but he just doesn't think when he's throwing it. He throws his punches like a bar fighter. They just swing. They don't have any not meaning to them, but they don't have any place to them. You know, when you throw a hook is supposed to stop at one place, and then you put your hand back down. When Fedor throws his fucking hook, the hook, you know, goes around like a ring of Saturn on the motherfucker. You know, the hook just go everywhere. If he was Mr. Fantastic, the hook would go past his neck, and you know it'll fuck you guys. It'll make a return back to where his arm is. Fuck it. So yeah, Fedor throws his punches like a ball fighter, and I'll give Antonio Silva recognition for beating him. You know, especially coming in as the underdog with a whole lot of Russians in the crowd, because I was in that crowd. But I gotta go with KV. And you know, Daniel Cormier knocked out Bigfoot Silva. Imagine what Cain Velasquez is gonna do. And Cain Velasquez wrestlers and all that shit. Bigfoot is not taking him down. So Cain Velasquez could dominate Bigfoot on the ground, or he can just knock him out. So I'm gonna go with all Cain Velasquez right there. All Cain Velasquez. If Cain Velasquez loses, then I'll look into Bigfoot more. You know, he should be in a title picture a little bit. Maybe a win or two. So let's predict the Jacob Volkman Paul Saz fight. I'm gonna go with Jacob Volkman by decision. Volkman's a good wrestler, and Paul Saz, you know, the UK is notoriously known for not having good wrestlers nor good takedown defense. They don't practice that over there for UK MMA. And Volkman, you know, he's riding on a big win streak. You know, he's known as the guy that called out Obama or whatever. He's riding on a big win streak. But just like John Fitch, Dana White told him that he's got to finish one of the fights. You know, he's got to stop winning these unanimous decisions. And that's why I think the one fucked up part is. Because, you know, it should be all about winning. What if the boxing commission told Mayweather that he couldn't get a shot for a title because all he did was go to decision? You know, while it may produce boring fights, it gets the job done, and in the end, is never the guy who won. It's never his fault in winning the fight. It's the guy who lost in losing the fight. It's his fault because he couldn't stop the takedown defense. Nobody's perfect at that. It's counterable. You just gotta train for it. So I don't really think he should be in a title picture because he ain't. Jacob Volkman hasn't really beat anybody that notorious. But you know, he's riding a win streak. Up that competition, D White. So with that said, let's go on to the main event. Junior Dos Santos versus Frank Mir. I'm going with JDS, Junior Dos Santos, Sagano, Junior Two Saints, whatever you want to call him. And here's why. Junior Dos Santos has heavy fucking hands. You know, he has heavy hands, and he's known as the heavyweight in the division that not only just, you know, with every punch he throws has so much power behind it, it can knock you out, but he fights like an actual boxer. You know, he provides accuracy with his punches. So, you know, he's hitting you in the body head, 1-2, jab straight, you know, things like that. He's fighting like an actual boxer and not a heavyweight with just heavy punches behind him. So, not only can he kill Frank Mir with accuracy and precision, but behind that accuracy and precision is heavy hands. Now, I wouldn't necessarily count Frank Mir out. We haven't really seen Junior Dos Santos' ground game yet, but I'm assuming if he is he with Black House? Let's see. It doesn't say it. I'm assuming if he's a champion and he's from Brazil, you know, his management team has to have him training in jiu-jitsu. He should. But we haven't really seen his ground game yet, so we can't even say if Frank Mir has the advantage or not. And that's why Frank Mir is such at a disadvantage. We know that half of the people that's voting in favor of Dos Santos is voting in favor of the KO. We don't see in any way Frank Mir rocking Dos Santos. We don't see any way at all. So when you delete those whole possibilities out, you have to take in the factor of the ground game. Frank Mir is known as a man with great jiu-jitsu. You know, people are forgetting about that. Just look at the Nogueira fight. He came back from being rocked by an old Nogueira. Take that into consideration. This Nogueira was very old, Minotauro Nogueira, and he got rocked by him, almost got finished. But Mir's got great submissions, as you've seen from the Nogueira fight. But the reason why he's still at a disadvantage is because we never seen Junior Dos Santos' submission or ground game. Because why? Nobody could get him to the ground. And, you know, Shane Carwin, Brock Lesnar, no. Shane Carwin and all these other people couldn't do it. What makes you think that Frank Mir is gonna do it? So that's just the one thing, you know. If we would have seen Junior Dos Santos' ground game, you know, Cain Velasquez would have taken him down and kept him down there and did it repeated amount of times. We could weigh out the positives and negatives. You know, we could see that if Frank Mir has an advantage or disadvantage. That's the scary thing about it, because nobody could bring Sagano, Junior Santos to the ground. So we can't even say if Mir has an advantage in the submission game or not. So with that said, what prelim fight is there to talk about? Because I'm not giving her MMA news, because the reason why I'm not giving MMA news no more, guys, is because whoa, Shane Rosario. But the reason why I'm not giving no more MMA news is mainly because if I was to do that, I would have to create daily videos of news, you know, because there's MMA news happening, like breaking news, but I don't want to base my channel around MMA. My channel is around any fucking thing. So Shane Rosario and Stike Mugaya, you know, that's what the name looked like, Mugaya. I'm gonna go with Shane Rosario. No, you know, I seen Shane fight before for Strikeforce when he fought LeVar Johnson. LeVar Johnson's gonna kill Stephen Struve, by the way. Oh yeah, that fight too. Well, I just said it. That's a no contest. I think Junior Rosario is gonna win because he's a great fighter. You know, he's got great jiu-jitsu. You know, he's a kickboxer, and he's really good. Trust me, because I seen him fight LeVar, and he beat LeVar by submission. So, I'm gonna go with Shane De Rosario. With the LeVar Johnson fight, I'm just gonna say LeVar mainly because he's got great KO, and if he can keep the fight off the ground, Stefan Struve is no threat at all. Unless he tries to use his wingspan, which he usually doesn't do. Because LeVar's ground game is terrible. It's very terrible. So, with that said, enjoy Bruce Buffer announcing Sagano as still the UFC champion. So, BKV2 British Kid V2 rap.
Here's Bruce Buffer with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Yves Leving has called a stop to this contest at 1 minute, 12 seconds of the very first round. Declaring the winner by TKO and still the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Junior Sagano Dos Santos.
Junior Dos Santos defends his UFC heavyweight crown.